Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhuttu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so in the previous class we had an introduction to this text and some little discussion on karma we had. So now we look at verse number 2. Please unmute yourself and we can chant. Kritimaho dadhau patana karanam Phalama shashvatam gati nirodhakam.
Phalam shashvatam gati nirodhakam.
Just mute well. And all right, so look at the words. Kriti Maha Dadau. See, so Kriti is the karma, and Maha Adhau is a big ocean. So Kriti Maha Dadau, he's comparing the amount of work that we all do to a large body of water, to a large body of work. So big ocean of karma. What is the problem with that? Patana karanam. Patanam means spiritual fall. So is the cause of spiritual fall. Why? He gives a reason. Phalama shashvatam. So shashvatam is eternal. Ashashvatam is not eternal, temporary, not permanent. So phalama shashvatam. So phalam is what? The fruits of the work. The kriti in the first line has to be connected to phalam. So karma phalam ashashvatam. Fruits of action are temporary and not permanent. And furthermore, they have another problem. Gati nirodhakam. So gati is the movement. So here gati is the movement, the progress of a spiritual seeker. And therefore, engaging in karma a lot is a cause of spiritual fall because they obstruct your progress. That is the word meaning. Now let's look at individually. Why is karma compared to a great ocean? Because in an ocean, once you fall into the ocean and there are waves which take you up and down, and you can be, waving your hands and legs and trying to swim. But the more you move your hands and legs, the deeper you go. And not only that, you don't drown also, right? Because the waves keep on bringing you up. So that is the imagery here. In the ocean, the waves keep on tossing you up. So you don't drown and you are not free to leave the ocean. You are not free to be alive also. You are going up and down in great misery, wondering when will be the last moment. So Kriti Maho Dadhau. Karma is a great ocean. The more you do karma, the deeper you go into karma. And what is the idea here? Karma means focusing on objects outside you, focusing on external objects for your happiness, right? Why does one go into karma? Because we all know the sequence, right? There is ajnanam, there is the ignorance of the fact that I am Brahman. So then when Brahman is complete, is Purna. So I don't know that I am Purna. And because of that delusion or non-completion, the delusions of my being a finite person, I want to acquire something more to become infinite. And to acquire something, that desire comes to acquire. That desire leads to karma. Karma leads to karma phalam. Karma phalam leads to rebirth and the cycle is repeated. So that is the sequence. First is the ajnanam, the lack of knowledge that I am Brahman. That ajnanam is the cause of what we call apurnatvam, the delusion that I am incomplete. That delusion leads one to the desire for being complete. That desire leads one to karma. Karma leads one to karmaphalam. Karmaphalam leads one back to the cycle of birth and death. And why does one focus on karma so much? Because we all know by now that Atma and Anatma are the only two components which we face in our life all the time. And Anatma we call Maya. And Maya is visible here in this world. And one is easily attracted to what is visible. Right? So we give the example of the hand and the light. So if I ask you, what are you seeing? You will say you are seeing the hand. Why do you say that? Because the hand is visible. But you tend to focus on the visible hand and you tend to miss the cause of the hand being visible, which is the light. Therefore, you tend to focus on the hand which is visible and you tend to lose sight of the light which is there, and because of which only you see my hand. But light is diffused. You can't really see the light, you can see the hand. And similarly, Maya is visible, but Maya has a substratum of Brahman, of the Atman. Atman is not visible, and therefore all of us tend to focus on the visible Maya and the visible nature and ignore the invisible Atman. Right? Now, as I said, the root cause of all this, that all is what? That I have the delusion that I'm not complete, and therefore I have a desire to be complete, and because of the desire, karma flows from that desire. One is constantly struggling to, in this delusion, of course, of completing oneself. How? By acquiring things which I want, pravrittihi, and by getting rid of things which I do not want, nivrittihi. Please note that this is a delusion. It is not going to give you purnatvam. But this is what I feel. But if I get rid of what I don't want and I acquire what I don't have, then I will be purnaha, I will be complete. And therefore, one desire leads to another desire. One object of my likes and dislikes I replaced with another object of my likes and dislikes. Getting any amount of objects of desire does not really end this thirst and does not really end this quest. Because always the moment that one desire is satisfied, immediately you will have another desire coming up. And therefore this thirst, this quest is never really over. And Krishna says elsewhere, we will see in chapter 3, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhavaha, Mahashano mahapapma, Vidyenam iha vairinam. He says this Kama and this desire, Kama esha, Krodha esha, and this anger. Why anger? Because when desires are not fulfilled, that obstructed desire expresses in the form of anger. So he says Kama esha, Krodha esha. They are both, anger itself is a expression of frustrated desire. They rise from where? Rajogun samudbhavaha. They are born from Rajas, the guna of Rajas. And he gives it a few adjectives. Maha ashanaha, a great eater. Why? Why does he call it a great eater? Because it's like fire, you know. The more fuel you give, the brighter the fire burns. You can never satisfy the fire's need for fuel, for wood. And therefore, the more wood that you put into the fire, the brighter it burns. That is the comparison here. The more you feed your desires, the stronger it becomes. Therefore, Maha Ashanaha, it's a great eater. And Maha Papma, because it leads to your downfall. Therefore, it is a big sin. And Vidyenam Iha Vairinam. You must understand that these two, Kamaha and Krodaha, desire and anger, are your greatest enemies. And therefore, he says, Patana Karanam, the cause of your downfall in your spiritual journey. We saw that the karma can be basically divided into three broad areas, Artha, Kama, Dharma. Artha Kama, then Artha Karma, Kama Karma, and Dharma Karma. Artha Karma being karma done for your fulfillment of your security needs. Kama Karma being done, karma being done for fulfilling your desires or entertainment needs. And Dharma is dharmic karma, karma being done from the point of view of Dharma. And we saw in the last class that all three suffer from three defects. What are they? All karma suffers from three defects. What did we say it was?
Dukha Mishrit Tattvam, Atriptikartvam, and Bandhakatvam.
Bandhakatvam. So I'm not explaining that, which since we discussed in the last class. And there is also a fourth defect, which Ramana Maharishi points out here. What is that? Phalama Shashvatam. All the fruits of karma are finite. And finite can never become infinite. You can add any amount of finites. You will find that the result is still finite. There is no amount of finites which if you add, it will give you infinite. And therefore, all karma is finite, all karma phalam is finite. Therefore, the fruit of any karma is definitely finite only. Whatever comes in time must go in time. And that's why Krishna says, Agama apayana. It will come and it will go also. What is the root cause? Apurnatvam of karma. The idea that I am not a complete person, that I need something to complete myself. And therefore we always say, this person completes me. Which is the expression of this completeness itself, of this apurnatvam. You want something else, somebody else to complete you. Why? Vedanta says, where is the question of your not being complete? You are Atma itself. And therefore the idea that I'm incomplete, the idea that I need somebody else to complete me, basically all that is arising out of ajnanam only. Karma has another problem also, that because I am constantly doing karma to acquire something or to get rid of something, I am obsessed with karma. That doing karma takes up all my time, which leaves me no time for spiritual practice at all. And that is why it's said that the more karma you do, the more and more extroverted you get. Of course, this has some positive areas also. In case we saw in the discussion in Gita class, that in case a tamasic person is a student, the only remedy is to give him more and more karma, because that doing of karma will try to generate some more rajas in him and make him slightly more extrovert. That's a different area. But here we are saying that the problem as far as spiritual practice is concerned is that doing more and more karma makes you more and more extroverted. And therefore, every act that you do, every karma that you do, it has got some sort of a multiplier effect. It leaves you with no time for spiritual practice. And that is why Ramana Maharshi says, Gati Nirodhakam. It becomes an obstruction in a spiritual path. As long as one is externally oriented, remember that you remain in karma. And karma can be a tiger's tail. Now, why do we say tiger's tail? When you're holding on to the tiger's tail, who is running after whom? Are you running after the tiger, or is the tiger running after you? You don't know, right? The only thing you know is that, now you know a few things. One is that you cannot let go of the tiger's tail, right? Now is that possible? It's not possible, because the tiger is stronger than you. Sooner or later, you will have to let go of the tail. And what will happen? Swaha. You will become breakfast for the tiger. Therefore, Ramana is saying that this game of karma, and more karma, it is not going to get you anywhere. Then comes the question. Okay, karma is not going to get me anywhere. Karma is obstructing my spiritual path. So why can't I just give up karma? That's another question which we have to answer. Is giving up karma an option? Krishna says in the Gita, one portion we have already seen. Nahi kaschit chanamapi Jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate havashak karma sarva prakritir jair gunaihi. It is not for a single moment can somebody give up karma, right? Just constantly remain in karma, and you will be helplessly avashah karyate avashah karma. You are helplessly made to do karma. How? Sarva prakriti hi jair gunehi. All sort of karma is done because of prakriti only. And prakriti, you have the prakriti means the three gunas which you have. The three gunas born of prakriti, they are the ones which constantly make you do karma. So there is no avoiding doing karma because your body is prakriti jair gunehi. Three gunas, body is a product of three gunas. Mind is a product of three gunas. So there is no question of your avoiding karma at all. That is what Krishna says in the 5th verse of chapter 3. Also in the 18th verse he says, Nahi deha vrata shakyam tyaktum karmanya sheshataha. It is not possible to completely avoid karma for a person who has a body. Deha vrata. So a person who has a body, nahi shakyam tyaktum karmani asheshataha. Immediately and completely avoiding karma, it is not possible for somebody who has a body, right? Then what is there a solution at all? The scriptures say yes. And they give the example of a knife, a knife which can cut your fingers if not used properly. That same knife you can use to cut your vegetables and feed yourself and feed your family also. What is the method? The method is given in the next verse. So please unmute yourself. We will chant verse number 3. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam Chittashodhakam mukti sadhanam. Okay. Now, Ishwara Arpitam, the word meaning first. Ishwara Arpitam. That work, so you have to supply your karma. That work, which is Ishwara Arpitam, which is offered to the Lord as an offering. And Na Ichchaya Kritam, that work which is done without Ichcha, without expectations for the fruits. The Ichcha here is Karmaphala Ichcha. So without any expectation from the fruits, that I will get this fruit, I will get that fruit, I will get that phalam, I will get that phalam. That expectation is not there. What does it do? Chitta Shodhakam. So Shodhakam is a purifier. Chitta is the mind. So that is work which is offered to the Lord without any expectation of fruits, that helps to purify your mind. It becomes a Chitta Shodhakam. It becomes a purifier of the mind, and therefore Mukti Sadhakam. It becomes the sadhakam, the instrument for mukti, for moksha. Okay, here of course you have to supply, because we all know that jnanat eva kaivalyam. Only through jnanam there is liberation. And therefore mukti sadhakam means, because of the fact that your mind is purified, you are able to come to knowledge. You can do shravanam, you can do mananam, and you can do nididhyasanam and get moksha. So Ishwar Arpitam. So karma, we said in the last verse, is a great obstacle in your spiritual progress. But that same karma, which is an obstacle for you, for your spiritual path, handled properly, it can become a promoter of inner growth. So that's why I said, like a knife, handled improperly can cut your hand. Handled properly, it can become a very useful instrument. Therefore, handled properly, the same karma which is otherwise an obstacle for your spiritual growth, handled properly, that same karma can become a promoter of inner growth. And therefore, he says, Ishwara Arpitam na Ichchaya Kritam. So this we have seen in detail in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita as well as the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This process of Ishwara Arpitam na Ichchaya Kritam. What is it called in the Bhagavad Gita?
Karma Yoga.
It's called
Karma
Karma Yoga. So he's saying that karma is a poison for your spiritual growth. But Karma Yoga, moment you put the suffix Karma Yoga, that same karma becomes a instrument for converting you into an eligible person for knowledge. It becomes a Chitta Shodakam, purifier of the mind. So the beauty is the same karma which you used to do selfishly for fulfilling your material needs. That same karma can now become a sadhana for you by converting into Karma Yoga. How? We saw in chapter 3, Yajna Shishthashana Santaha Muchyante Sarvakil Vijay Bhunjate te Tvagam Papaha Ye Pachanti Atma Karanat. What was that? The one who eats Yajna Shishtaha, the remains of the Yajnas, the prasadam from the Yajnas, they are Sarva Kilbishaihi Muchyante. They are freed from all impurities. But Bhujante de Tvagam Papaha Ye Pachanti Atma Karanat. Atma Karanat Pachanti. If you are eating for your own sake without offering to the Lord, what happens? Bhujante te Tvagam Papaha. They become partners in Papam. They acquire Papam. So here Krishna is talking about yoga as a spiritual purifier. Right? So he says Chitta Shodakam. What is important about Chitta Shodakam? Something which becomes Chitta Shodakam. Why is it so important? Because it becomes Mukti Sadhakam. It becomes the very instrument for you to come to Jnana Yoga. Because without Chitta Shuddhi, which is the consequence of doing Karma Yoga, and that is what is meant by Chitta Shodakam, without Chitta Shuddhi, one can never understand the scriptures. Even if one has the best of teachers and you sit through all the classes, you may get knowledge, but that knowledge will only inform you. It will never transform you. So without that Atma Jnanam, which is transformational, you can never get moksha. You can get Atma Jnanam as purely as a literary product, knowing the words of the scriptures, knowing what it means. But if it hasn't been assimilated, without that assimilated Atma Jnanam, moksha is not possible. And this Atma Jnanam, the assimilation of Atma Jnanam, can take place only when the Chitta Shodakam part has been completed, when the mind is pure, when Chitta Shuddhi is there, and without mental purity, the Atma Jnanam is never possible. We can compare it to, you want to paint the wall, right? What do you do first?
Scrape the old paint.
You scrape the old paint. You buy some sandpaper and you scrape the old paint. This Atma Jnanam can come only if the old stuff is scrubbed off from the mind. So your raga, dvesha, raga attachment, dvesha is dislike, kama, desires, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, moha, delusion, matsarya, jealousy. All these things, as long as they are lining your mind is impure. And therefore, for purifying the mind, you have the special sandpaper called Karma Yoga sandpaper. So without Karma Yoga sandpaper, the mind cannot be purified. And therefore, if you are interested in this inner purification, that is going to be your focus. Your work will be the same. That is important to understand. The work that you do does not have to change. You may be a school teacher, you may be a yoga teacher, you may be a politician, and you may be an industrialist. You don't have to change the nature of your work. All you have to do is to offer it to the Lord as an oblation, as an offering. And that doesn't mean that, the quality of your work will suffer. But because you're on the contrary, actually, because you're offering it to the Lord, the quality of your work is actually much higher quality. And therefore, Normally, material prosperity will be there because the better your work is, the more focused your mind is when you do your work, the more successful you are. It's true in every field. So normally a spiritual seeker, because he is focused, he has a focused mind, he is doing his all his daily karma as an offering to the Lord, he will do it to the best of his ability with an absolutely focused mind. And therefore the chances are that his material results will be normally higher than before. But for the seeker, the primary goal is not material prosperity. The primary goal is inner purification. Material prosperity may be there. This karma yoga may fetch him material prosperity or may not fetch him material prosperity. It doesn't matter for him. As long as his inner purification goal is fulfilled, he does not consider himself a failure. Right? Remember, this is diametrically opposite to what the world thinks. Right? People who try to follow ethical values, today's world, it looks down upon them. The only yardstick for success today is what? Material prosperity. But as a karma yogi, as a Vedantic seeker, for you, you do not have to reject material prosperity. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, then also it is okay. But the primary focus for you is Chitta Shuddhi, the inner purification. Prosperity may come, is more likely to come actually because, as I said, your mind is more focused. But as a seeker, your basic objective is only Chitta Shodhakam, Mukti Sadhakam. And therefore, if you dedicate your life to the Lord, what does that mean? Dedicate every karma of yours to the Lord. A mental resolution is all that is required. That, oh Lord, this that I'm doing today, it is an offering for you. Right? So we all saw the qualifications for karma yoga, right? What are they? What is the definition of karma yoga?
Proper action and proper attitude.
Proper action and proper attitude. Proper attitude is to two things. What are they?
Towards the action and the phalam.
Right. So that all you must remember here, that you have to have proper action. The karma itself must be proper, and your attitude towards the karma as well as to the karma phalam must be proper. Right. So, and if you are doing this with every act of yours, it may be the most material of all acts, like brushing your teeth in the morning, right? From that to having your breakfast, to doing your work for the day, all that action has to be dedicated to Easwaran. Once you are doing that, you are a proper karma yogi. Your life is revolving around the Lord. So we say your life is dedicated to the Lord. And because of that, your basic value shifts to spiritual growth and not material prosperity. And if that is there in your life, then this karma yoga will lead you to Chitta Shuddhi, mental purity. And that mental purity, because of the mental purity, you will get an attraction to Vedanta, you will seek a Vedantic teacher, you'll come to Vedanta, you'll get a Vedantic teacher, you'll do Shravanam, you'll do Maranam, you'll do Nididhyasanam, and you'll get moksha. So material prosperity is not really focused upon. It is the spiritual wealth which is the real wealth. That's why Krishna says in chapter 2, Neha abhikramano nashosti pratyavayo na vidyate. No effort is wasted in doing this karma yoga. And pratyavayo na vidyate. Nor are any pratyavayam, any undesirable results, they are also not produced. There is only positive results all the way around. No effort is wasted. No undesirable results are produced. Your mind is purified. You become eligible for knowledge. You come to knowledge. You get moksha. Where is the question of any sort of wastage of effort? And therefore, one must stop defining failure only from the point of view of material accomplishment and non-accomplishment, which is the way the world defines. I accept. But as a karma yogi, you have to stop defining that. Because in this world, you started a business, you made a big profit, you are considered a very successful person. But if you got a loss, then you're considered a failure. But in the case of Karma Yoga, that inner purification takes place, whether your business is at a profit or at a loss. It doesn't matter. Your basic objective of Chitta Shuddhi has been fulfilled. And that is why Krishna says, Yajna Shishtashara Santaha. Those people who convert their life into yajna and receive the consequences, Yajna Shishtaha, as Ishvara Prasadaha. That is Prasadaha. Those who take all the Karmaphalams as Yajna Shishtaha, as Prasadaha from a yajna, for them he says, Sarva Kilbishaihi Machyante. Every impurity is removed. So when the Lord uses and gives it back, that usage, figurative usage of your offering by the Lord, that makes it sacred. And that's why we call it Prasadaha, literally meaning contentment. And of course, he also says, if you do not offer to the Lord and still use everything that he has given you, then he says you are a papi, right? Remember that in our life, as part of the karma that we do, some part of karma is harmful karma, and most of the time we are helpless in doing it. So helplessly we do harmful karma, because life lives upon life, life feeds upon life, and some amount of harm becomes necessary. But for this kind of papam, which you do, because it is unavoidable, for example, eating fruits, you have to break the fruit from the tree, right? So it's unavoidable. For this kind of papam, there's definitely a papam because you have destroyed life, right? According to us, tree is also a jiva, and destruction of pulling the fruit from the tree is a destruction of that. For that, there is a papam, and therefore there are lots of karma prescribed in the scriptures for the neutralization of such papam. So all prayers, all yajna, they are all meant to neutralize such helplessly done papam. And therefore we do unavoidable sins like killing bugs or germs as we walk, or some things which it is not practical not to do, like killing cockroaches in your house, mosquitoes. All that has called prashchita karma. You have to do prashchita karma for all that. That karma as a penance. Prashchita means penance. For that you have to do prashchita. All that karma is also prescribed. And all the prayer that we do, all the yajna that we do, all the panchamaha yajna that we do, all the nitya karma that we do, all these go towards the neutralization of such papa. To summarize, therefore, Karma Yoga consists of, number one, right attitude. And this right attitude is towards two things. Towards the karma by way of offering to the Lord, which we call Ishvara Arpanam. By way of the phalam, which is receiving the results of my karma from the Lord, which we call Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. The first part is right attitude. The second part is right work. And work we saw can be divided into sattva work, rajasika work, and tamasika work. And for that we do what? Pancha Mahayajna. That Pitra Yajna, Deva Yajna, Manusha Yajna, Brahma Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. Just give me 1 second, please. Yeah, so we did all those yajnas we have seen. And after that, if you do all this regularly, then Chitta Shuddhi is to be expected. What is your measure of Chitta Shuddhi. What is the way in which you can measure Chitta Shuddhi? Has my mind become purer or not? How will I measure? What is the measuring tool?
FIR.
FIR.
Something called FIR. For those of you who are still new and have not come across that, so FIR refers to the disturbances which are happening in your mind. The F represents the frequency of the disturbances. The I represents the intensity of the disturbances, and the R represents the recovery time. How quickly you come back to a normal state of mind. So, how do we explain that? The more your spiritual progress is, the more your mind becomes calm, the less will be the frequency of disturbances in your mind. That is F. And even when there are disturbances, the intensity is not much. So the less will be the intensity. And the recovery time also speeds up. It becomes less and less. And therefore, the FIR taken together, frequency, intensity, and recovery time, as long as it is on a downward graph. If you measure your FIR today, when you start the progress, you measure after 6 months, you find that all three parameters have moved downwards. Then you can say that my mind is getting more and more purified. It's a very practical tool for us. Otherwise, it's very easy to fool oneself into believing that I'm getting Chitta Shuddhi. Ideally, would be to maintain some sort of a record, have some Excel sheet, which you don't want to show anybody else, right? So you put a very strong password on it. And then you say, so many times I got angry today. And in my anger, then what was the quality of my anger? Did I throw my plates at my spouse? Or did I just yell at her? Or did I beat her up? That's the intensity. And the recovery time, how long did I remain angry? Was it 24 hours? Was it 48 hours? Was it 2 hours? Was it 1 hour? So there are very many ways you can do it. There is, in fact, there's Sanskrit sloka which says Uttama Shanakopasya. Says the anger of the refined mind is Shanaha. So Uttama means the best. So you have to supply that mind. Uttama Shanakopasya. Kopaha is anger. The anger of a refined mind lasts for a moment. Shanam. And Madhyame Ghataya Ghatadvayam. So for the mind which is medium, which has not really been purified, but which is not at the lowest, for that mind, it is lasts for 2 hours, right? And adho means the mind which is the lower mind, the mind which is not been very refined. For that, it lasts for the whole day. Ahoratri, for the whole night it lasts. And for the mind which is a sinful mind, it lasts maranataka. It lasts till that person dies. He never forgives. He keeps the anger within himself throughout. And you can see, you can judge yourself on that. Is there anything or anybody against whom I have something which has been there in my mind for a long time? If that is so, classify and try to work on those things. Because for an improved mind, you need to let go. Nothing must disturb you. And Karmaphalam is a thing which can disturb you, right? Karma itself can disturb you because it requires effort. But Karmaphalam can disturb you because why? It might not be what you want. You might have expected some particular fruit from that action. And if you don't receive that, or receive less of that, or the opposite of that, if you receive the same fruit which you expected, you're happy. But if you don't receive that, or you receive it partially only, you're not happy, right? And therefore, Karmaphalam has a tendency to disturb you. So we say that Karmaphalam is of two types: binding Karmaphalam and non-binding Karmaphalam. So you have those consequences of actions which disturb my mind. They are binding Karmaphalam. Why binding? Because they bind my mind. My mind is no longer free because it acts according to the dictate of that particular Karmaphalam. And otherwise, you have certain actions where you may not have received the fruit which you expected. But if that is okay with you, in the sense your attitude is okay, I didn't get what I want, but it is okay, maybe next time. So then your mind is not disturbed. So that kind of karmaphalam is called non-binding. And our entire spiritual exercise, one of the main parameters of our spiritual exercise is that we try to ensure that we have converted as many binding karmas into non-binding as possible. The more you have non-binding karmas with you, the less you are bound, the lower your FIR is. And Krishna gives you this particular equation in chapter 3. What does he say? How can karma not bind you? He has given a quote. Yajñarthat karmano nyatraha loko ayam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samacharaha. Is any action done otherwise than an action of yajna, that action has a tendency to bind you. Why is that so? Because in a yajna, the prasadam, the fruits of the yajna which you expect, whatever they get, whatever is the theory is that once I offer to the Lord with my full attention, with my full skill which I have, after that nothing is in my hands. And therefore, then whatever I receive from the Lord, I consider that as something which I need. It may not be something which I want, but the Lord decided that this particular fruit is necessary to be given to this person. And therefore, you accept it without a disturbance of mind. And therefore, it's called prasadam. So anything which you receive from a yajna is prasadam, right? And at the most, so whenever I make a prayer, usually, we ask for material benefits. And whenever a material benefit is asked for, this is referred to in Sanskrit as Loka Jayaha, victory over the world. Because you are making a prayer, you are asking for the Lord to give you a particular result. Which means you are saying, whatever be the results of my karma, it doesn't matter, oh Lord, you please give me this. Just telling him that, please ignore that. So it's called Loka Jaya, victory over the world. But when you have the mental strength to accept any result, favorable or unfavorable or partially unfavorable, you are not looking for material benefits. You are looking for spiritual benefits. And that kind of a prayer is called Mano Jaya. So you have two prayers, Loka Jaya for material benefits and spiritual benefits, Mano Jaya, victory over the mind, right? So any action, can you see the connection between Loka Jayaha, Mano Jayaha and Karma Yoga? Any action for Loka Jayaha is karma. Any action for Mano Jayaha is Karma Yoga. So a Karma Yogi's prayer, he will never ask for a change in his future or a reduction of the problems that are facing him. A Karma Yogi's prayer is always what? Give me a mind which can accept any kind of future, any kind of failure. I should be able to accept without disturbance to my mind. So he's saying that, hey Bhagavan, oh Lord, please give me the strength to be happy in spite of situations. Don't make me a person who will be happy because of situations. And therefore the mind is stronger and I have to get more refined in my mind. The more refined my mind is, the more it becomes open for self-inquiry. And the more it becomes open for self-inquiry, the easier it is for me to assimilate the knowledge. Okay, one more verse, then we'll open it up for discussion. So verse number 4. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. Kaya Vangmana Karyamuttamam.
Kaya Vaya Uttamam.
Pujanam Japas Chintanam Kramat.
Pujanam
So Kaya Vang Manaha Karyam. The actions done through the Kaya, body, the Vang, which is the tongue, the words, and Manaha, through the minds. So physical actions, verbal actions, and mental actions are Uttamam, right? They are good. Then Pujanam Japaha Chintanam Kramat. So Pujanam is puja, Japa is japa, that is chanting the name of the Lord. Chintanam is meditation. So here, now the thing is that in these two words, you have to read Kaya, Vang, Mana, Karyam, Pujanam, Japaha, Chintanam first. And then you have to take the Uttamam from the first line and connect it to the Kramat from the last line. So it should become Kaya, Vang, Manaha, Karyam, Pujanam, Japaha, Chintanam, Uttamam, Kramat. Uttamam Kramat means Krama is sequentially, a particular order. So he's saying that these actions which I have outlined, Kaya, Vang, Manaha, or Pujanam, Japa, Chintaha, these are best in sequence, like, which means the first one is a particular level, the second one is a better level, and the third one is a higher level. They are in sequentially, they are excellent. They are superior to each other. Okay. So now look at the word Kaya Karyam. What is the connecting in the second line? Kaya Karyam means action done by the body. What word do you connect to in the second line?
Pujanam.
Pujanam, right? Because actions done by the body are puja. Because you sit there and you put water on the deity and you give flowers and you offer all those things. So it is a bodily action. Physical action is puja, right? Then Vang Karyam. The verbal action is what?
Japa.
Japa. Then Manha Karyam. The mental action is what?
Meditation.
Meditation. So remember, that is how you connect this. Kaya Karyam means pujanam. Vang Karyam means japaha. Mana Karyam means meditation. They are not different. They are only descriptions. And therefore, there are only three things he's talking about. Pujanam, japaha, and meditation. And he says kramat uttamam. They are superior with respect to the previous action, which means what? Meditation is superior to japa, japa is superior to puja. Okay, so here now he's talking about the tools to change the quality of your mind. Why quality of your mind? Because you cannot change the world. Okay, the materialistic person tries to change the world. The spiritual person, he tries to change himself. So he's talking about the different levels of karma yoga. Karma yoga is at three levels. That is Kayika karma, bodily actions, Vachika karma, verbal actions, Manasik karma, mental actions. So in order of superiority, that is what we Kramat Uttamam. Uttamam means superior. Kramat means in order. So in order, what is superior? Meditation is superior to japa. It is superior to puja. Okay. Now, puja is what? Kayika karma. Puja is the least effective of the three. Least effective in what? All the karma, all these three are karma yoga. They are meant for chitta shuddhi. So puja is those actions which are mandated by karma kanda, part of the Veda. By Purva Veda, it is mandated. And they're all useful for generating punyam. What is punyam? Punyam is encashable for materialistic ends, spiritual ends. So you have various types of pujas addressed to the various gods. And depending on what material benefit is being sought, we say this particular puja gives you this particular result. So for example, you have something called Putra Kameshti Yajna. If you don't have a child, you do the Yajna. Then you got something called Avahanti Homam, which is for acquiring money. And then you have something called Nachiketa Yajna for going to heaven, going to Swarga. So all these are described in the scriptures. So there's a particular puja prescribed, particular result prescribed, Karmaphalam prescribed. How does it work? The puja generates punyam because the Lord is involved. But the encashing of that punyam. So punyam is like a bank account, right? You put money, but when you write a check, it can be either a temple donation or it can go towards your foreign trip, holiday, right? So the puja is the corpus. That puja generates the punyam, which is the corpus. But it is your intention, your sankalpa, the mental resolution which decides how the punyam is to be encashed. Whether it is towards material benefits like success, money, good health, etc. or it is for chitta shuddhi. So punyam balance is like a bank account balance. And every good action that you do, or every good karma which you experience, karma phalam which you experience, that reduces the punyam balance. And that is why Krishna says in the 9th chapter, Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. He says, those who have got a lot of punyam and they have gone to Brahmaloka, Swargaloka, what happens? Kshine punye. Their stay there exhausts the supply of punyam. And once kshine punye, once the exhaustion is complete of the punyam, martyalokam vishanti. They return back to this earth. Okay, so basically the discussion. And remember that one more thing about karma which you should talk about is that any result of any action, it is common for us to say that our action alone decides, which in Vedantic term means the success or failure of an action is determined by agami karma only. But Vedanta doesn't agree. So Vedanta says that there are two factors at play. One is prarabdha karma, one is agami karma. And there can be various combinations. You can have a weak prarabdha and a strong agami. In that case, success is assured in whatever action you do. You can have a strong prarabdha and a weak agami, which means that whatever action you do, the prarabdha is so strong that you will never succeed. And you have a weak prarabdha, weak agami, or a strong prarabdha, strong agami, which means chances are 50-50 of success or failure. Okay. And therefore, one thing take away from here is that all pujas, prayers, etc., they build up punyam, the stock of punyam. How does it help us? Because the effect of papa prarabdha karma, of prarabdha karma, which is in the nature of papam, which will give us sorrow or difficult times. These prayers which have built up this punyam, that punyam can be used to dilute the effect of the prarabdha, or at least give us the strength to bear the prarabdha. So with this, I'll stop for today. Any questions?
Sir, there is one prayer my mom used to tell me all the time to say that, Hey Nath, hey mere Nath, main aapko bhulu nahi. I have a habit of saying it. So, wanted to ask you because you said we need to move from triangular format to binary format.
Yes, you need to move, but everybody moves at different times. Ultimately, the day you feel that this is no longer satisfying me, then only you need to move. You shouldn't force the moment. A lot of people will remain in triangular format for a very long time because of the comfort level. That is fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, Lataji.
Acharya ji. So, question here is, So there were three things, right? Where one is kaya. I'm not.
Kaya Vang Mana, yeah.
So that is more in terms of doing the puja. And then we do the verbal japa and then meditation. So is this like a sequence, or is that we can do them parallelly, or is there a percentage in terms of what we should do what?
There are no formulas over here.
Oh,
But
okay.
essentially, for a beginner, you can't start with meditation. Okay, because
Okay.
it's your first of all, you have to learn to sit for long periods. That itself is therefore it's a sequence. It's a sort of a sequence. You start with puja, which is why majority of people in this world you see they are stuck at puja level only.
Yeah.
And then after some time, when puja is not there, you can do parayanam. You can do your chanting in the mornings or the evenings. But again, mechanical chanting has no meaning. The chanting has to be, of course, mechanical chanting will also give punya. Shastra is extremely clear. Even if you mechanically chant the Vedas or mechanically chant the Bhagavad Gita, it will still give you punya. But the percentage is much enhanced if you are chanting it with the what you call focus. And that is why just chanting is called karma. Chanting with the dhyana slokas is called upasana. Dhyana sloka means you are visualizing the deity's form. There is meditation involved over there. So that is gives you more punya. So that's the sequence. You first start with karma only, then you move to meditation, then you move to upasana, that is verbal thing, and then you move to finally to meditation. Meditation is only mind, so much more difficult than without. It's easier to chant loudly and keep your mind focused than it is to chant mentally. And all of us who have done meditation know that.
Yeah, correct. So maybe that's the time when we are doing meditation, or if we are doing japa. Basically, we are not having to do any other kind of actions. So that's the reason why it leads to a little bit more punya than papam.
The effort involved, karma always, the karmaphalam is in relation to the effort. The more focused you are, the more effort that is involved, the more punyam that will be generated, the more karmaphalam will be generated. And that is why the maximum effort among these three is for meditation. That's why it said that meditation is the most superior. That's what he says in the particular stanza. Remember that Ramana Maharshi in 30 verses has covered the entire range of sadhana, plus moksha. So it's very crisp. So we'll try to explain as much as possible using what we already know from the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So there might be a silly question, but sir, what you explained, so we can totally discard that theory of law of attraction and things like we hear a lot these days.
Like what?
Law of attraction, manifestation, and thinking positive.
No. You always have, see, thinking positively is basically a good thing to do, because when you think positively, your mind is focused, right? And if you are thinking positively, it is more likely that you will be focused and probably more successful. That's what they say. That positive thinking attracts positive things. It's not necessary. It's just the way of putting it.
So the law of attraction, it's not as much as they describe it, like saying.
I think basically these are all the people who have some smattering of the scriptures, trying to put it into words which are attractive to others. Essentially, same thing being presented, but without the logic. Yes,
so,
Meeraji. Sorry. Go on.
But if we have to put that part in this Vedantic study, so where we will put this?
Your spiritual practice is going to make you positive minded anyway, right?
Yes.
Because the focus is that makes you calm and positive.
And Karma Yoga will make us strong mentally.
Karma Yoga will make you dispassionate more than strong.
Yes.
It enable you to take the ups and downs of life. very idea is that once you say that the Lord is giving me the fruits, then you can't tell the Lord, give me only the good apples and not the bad ones, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, Meera.
Great.
You are can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Just a simple question. Like you said, when you are physically chanting, that means like when we have not done this Bhagavad Gita as yet with explanations, but we are chanting.
Yeah.
That means physical chanting, or
That
like
can be, yes, that chanting is without the knowing the meaning.
Yeah. And for example, like Vishnu Sahasranama, if you chant like that, but if you know what each name means, that will be like with Dhyanam. And
That is with the
Upasana.
Dhyanam part. With the Dhyana slokas are different. Dhyana slokas are always in the beginning of the prayers, and they will normally you're supposed to invoke the form of the deity as described in the slokas.
Yeah.
So Vishnu Sahasranama, for example, has a set of where Vishnu's body is described. So that is the Dhyana sloka part of it.
Okay, and if we understand, because if you don't understand, you just do it to.
And yeah, that is karma. If you understand, it becomes upasana because you are mentally visualizing that.
Yes, yes. And it becomes difficult. Like Bhagavad Gita, we have done 3 chapters. But still when we chant, like in my case, I'm doing it physically only because I'm concentrating on the pronunciation. So I don't.
That's how it begins. That's how it will begin. But what you do is that once a chapter is complete and you have understood fully, then from your notes you should compress everything into one line, keep it in front of you, and then chant very slowly, imbibing the meaning at the same time.
There's one line meaning.
Yeah, so it helps. But best thing is Sanskrit, if you know, because unfortunately many of us think in English or Hindi. And therefore, the mental conversion of the Sanskrit into English and Hindi becomes very important.
And another, this is just, one was Uttam mind, one was Madhyam mind, and what was low mind?
Adho. Adha means lowest, and Papam means the smallest, the worst.
Okay, thank you, Hari Om.
So, thank you then. With this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Tat Sat, thank you.